Module 1, Introduction to Microeconomics. Imagine you are standing in a lively bazaar, noisy, colorful, full of scents, sights, and choices. You have 100 rupees in your pocket. You look around. There's a tempting plate of samosas, a new phone cover, a second-hand novel you've been eyeing for weeks, and a beautiful notebook. You want all of them, but you can't buy everything. So what do? You make a choice. This very act, choosing between competing wants when resources are limited, is the foundation of economics. Microeconomics, in particular, focuses on decisions made by individuals, households, and firms. It asks questions like, why do we buy what we buy? How do companies decide the price of goods? What happens when the cost of petrol goes up? Microeconomics helps us understand how individual parts of the economy function, the consumers who spend money, the producers who make goods, and the markets where they interact. It's like zooming into the economy with a magnifying glass. Microeconomics is a branch of economics that studies how individuals and small entities make decisions to allocate their limited resources. The word micro comes from the Greek word mikros, meaning small. So, microeconomics deals with the small building blocks of the economy, consumers, producers, markets, and firms. It examines their behaviors, interactions, and outcomes. Think of it as analyzing parts of a machine to understand how the entire machine works. While macroeconomics looks at national income, employment, and inflation at the country level, microeconomics zooms in on how a household manages its budget, how a small business decides its production quantity, or how prices of vegetables fluctuate in a local market. Why do we need to study microeconomics? Because it gives us insights into daily life and helps us make better decisions, both personally and professionally. For consumers, it helps understand prices, discounts, and when it's best to buy or wait. For producers, it explains how to allocate resources efficiently and price goods for maximum profit. Policymakers use it to frame regulations that improve market outcomes, support small businesses, or tax luxury items. For students, it builds analytical thinking and helps understand how the economy affects their own life. At the core of microeconomics lies the concept of scarcity. We all have unlimited wants but limited resources. You may want a PlayStation, an iPhone, a bike, and a trip to Goa, but your pocket money doesn't stretch that far. So you must choose. These choices apply not only to individuals but also to countries. Should India invest more in defense or education? Should a farmer grow wheat or sugarcane? Every decision involves a trade-off. Choosing one option means giving up another. The cost of the next best alternative you give up is called opportunity cost. For example, if a student decides to spend 3 hours watching a movie instead of studying, the opportunity cost is the higher marks they could have earned. Every economy, no matter its size, must answer 3 fundamental questions: what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. Microeconomics helps answer these by analyzing supply and demand, pricing, production costs, and market structures. The answers depend on the type of economic system. In a market economy, individuals and businesses make decisions based on supply and demand, with prices acting as signals. For instance, if demand for laptops rises, their price goes up, encouraging more production. In a centrally planned economy, the government decides what, how, and for whom to produce. India followed this after independence to build infrastructure. A mixed economy combines market freedom with government intervention, which is the model India uses today. One of the most important concepts is the law of demand and supply. Demand shows how much people are willing and able to buy at different prices. When mangoes are cheap in summer, people buy more, demand is high. Supply shows how much producers are willing to sell at different prices. When prices rise, suppliers want to produce more. The equilibrium price is where demand equals supply. Think about cinema tickets. If prices are too high, fewer people go to movies. If prices are too low, theaters can't cover costs. Finding the right price balances both sides and is a classic example of microeconomics. Real-life examples bring microeconomics alive. Domino's prices pizzas not randomly but based on market research, understanding what customers want and how much they will pay to maximize profit. Ola and Uber use surge pricing when demand shoots up, like during rain or strikes, raising fares to balance supply and demand and encourage more drivers to work. Farmers in Maharashtra might switch crops based on expected market prices, government subsidies, and soil conditions. Their decisions affect market supply and consumer prices. Microeconomics involves two types of analysis: positive economics, which describes what is, like rising petrol prices reducing car sales, and normative economics, which suggests what ought to be, such as subsidizing electric vehicles. Both are essential. Positive economics helps us understand problems. Normative economics suggests solutions. In India, microeconomic principles have special importance because small decisions at the village level ripple through national markets. Subsidies to farmers change cropping patterns, changes in GST affect consumer prices and firm profits. The startup ecosystem thrives on marginal cost pricing and consumer behavior. From tea stalls in Assam to software startups in Bangalore, microeconomics explains how value is created, choices made, and prices set. Studying microeconomics opens up careers in business analysis, policy making, entrepreneurship, and marketing. Even if you don't become an economist, microeconomic thinking helps you make informed decisions, from buying a car to choosing a mobile plan. To conclude, microeconomics is not just about graphs and formulas. It's about the logic behind everyday choices. Why do people prefer cheaper brands during recessions? Why do companies offer combo deals? Why does a pizza cost more in a restaurant than from a delivery app? Microeconomics gives you the tools to understand, analyze, and predict these behaviors. It's the lens through which you can view markets and life itself as a series of decisions made with limited resources. In upcoming modules, you'll explore deeper concepts like consumer behavior, elasticity, cost curves, and market structures, but always remember, it all stems from one simple idea: you can't have everything, so you must choose wisely.